I never thought the day my son married would be the day my life shattered into 1,000 pieces. But what they didn't know was that a mother's love, once scorned, could become a force more unyielding than any steel. Before I get into the shocking details of how my own son and his conniving wife tried to steal everything from me, please do subscribe to the channel and tell me, in the comments below, what time it is where you are right now. It really helps me understand where all of you wonderful people are watching from. My name is Dorothy, and I'm a widow of 68 years. For most of my life, I worked tirelessly as a registered nurse, putting in long hours, double shifts, always with the patient's well-being at heart. My late husband, God rest his soul, was a kind man, but he passed far too young, leaving me to raise our son, Michael, on my own. I poured every ounce of my being, every spare penny, into Michael. I wanted him to have the best start, a good education, a stable home, and for a long time, we had that. Our home, a charming 2-story in a quiet suburban neighborhood, was more than just bricks and mortar. It was the repository of a lifetime of memories, a place filled with laughter, scraped knees, Christmas mornings, and the comforting scent of home-cooked meals. After Michael finished college, he decided to stay in the area. When he was ready to buy his own place, I wanted to help. He found a lovely house, perfect for a young man, but needed a little boost with the down payment. I didn't hesitate. I gave him $15,000, a substantial sum for me, as a loan, not a gift. We had a formal, notarized agreement laying out a 2-year repayment plan. My name was also on the deed, alongside his, as a co-owner, a safeguard more than anything, a way to help him secure a better mortgage rate at the time. I was financially secure, living comfortably in my own home, content in my retirement, volunteering at the local animal shelter, and enjoying my garden. I was looking forward to seeing Michael settle down, maybe even have grandchildren one day. Then Michael met Amanda. She was beautiful, undeniably so, with a dazzling smile and a quick wit. I tried to welcome her with an open heart. I thought, perhaps, she would bring new life, new joy into our small family. I helped them plan the wedding, offering advice, even contributing a little extra towards the catering, wanting everything to be perfect for my son's big day. The wedding itself was a beautiful affair, held at a picturesque vineyard, sun shining, laughter echoing. But there was a moment at the reception, a fleeting comment that pricked at my heart. Amanda, holding Michael's hand, raised her glass and, with a saccharine smile, thanked everyone for coming. Then she looked directly at me and said, loud enough for several tables to hear, and of course, thank you to Dorothy for always being there for Michael, for supporting him through thick and thin, for being the rock he leans on, even now. We're so lucky to have such a generous, supportive mother-in-law, always ready to lend a helping hand, even financially. My smile felt frozen. It wasn't a thank you. It was a subtle public jab, a gentle reminder to everyone that Michael, my son, was still somehow reliant on his mother. I dismissed it as wedding nerves, a clumsy attempt at humor. I truly wanted to believe the best in her. But the real nightmare began the very next morning. I had stayed overnight at Michael and Amanda's house, in their guest room, as the festivities had run late. I woke up feeling a little groggy, but happy. I walked downstairs to the kitchen, expecting the smell of coffee, perhaps some leftover cake. Instead, I found Amanda at the dining table, impeccably dressed, a severe look on her face. Beside her sat a man in a dark suit, Mr. Patterson, from Sterling Legal Services, a notary public. Michael was there too, looking uncomfortable, avoiding my gaze, picking at his fingernails. "Good morning, Dorothy," Amanda said, her voice devoid of any warmth. "We need to discuss your living arrangements." My heart instantly tightened. "My living arrangements? What about them?" I asked, confused. She pushed a stack of papers across the table towards me. "We've been talking, Michael and I, and we think it's time for you to consider a more suitable environment, somewhere you'll be looked after, where you won't have to worry about the upkeep of your own home or, well, being alone." My breath caught in my throat. I looked at Michael, begging him with my eyes to intervene. to explain. He just looked down. Then Amanda pointed to a particular document. This is an agreement for the transfer of your share of this house, which, as you know, Michael and I now reside in. And this, she pushed another document, is information on a lovely assisted living facility not too far from here. It's perfect for someone your age, with all the amenities. We've even arranged for a visit for you this afternoon. I felt a cold wave of shock wash over me. My share of this house, the house I helped Michael buy, the loan agreement, still with a balance, clearly stated my co-ownership. An assisted living? I was perfectly healthy, mentally acute, active. What are you talking about, Amanda? My living arrangements are fine. I'm quite capable of looking after myself and my home. My voice trembled, despite my best efforts to keep it steady. Amanda's smile vanished. Dorothy, be realistic. You're getting older. Michael and I have talked to your doctor, and he agrees you're becoming forgetful, unsafe even. You forget appointments, misplace things. It's for your own good. And as for this house, well, Michael needs to be able to refinance without any complications. Your name on the deed, your loan, it's all rather messy. She paused, then added, her voice dropping to a theatrical whisper. And quite frankly, Dorothy, we also have a power of attorney you signed a few years ago. It gives Michael the authority to make decisions on your behalf if you're deemed incapacitated. We're simply acting in your best interest. The air crackled with unspoken menace. Michael finally spoke, his voice barely a murmur. Mom, it would make things so much easier for us. And you'd be safe. Easier for them, safer for me. It was all a thinly veiled attempt to strong-arm me into relinquishing my rights, my independence, my very sense of self. My head spun. The audacity, the sheer cruelty of it, to humiliate me at their wedding, then spring this trap the very next morning, all for money, for what they perceived as an obstacle to their new life. The betrayal felt like a physical blow. Michael, my son, my only child, was standing by, silently condoning this monstrous scheme. The tears stung my eyes, but I swallowed them down. I would not give them the satisfaction of seeing me break. I will not sign anything, I said, my voice surprisingly firm, and I will not be moving into any assisted living facility. Mr. Patterson, the notary, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. He clearly hadn't anticipated such a direct refusal. Amanda's face hardened. You leave us no choice then, Dorothy. We'll have to proceed with what's best for you, with or without your cooperation. That was the moment. The very moment something inside me snapped, irrevocably. The initial shock, the deep, agonizing hurt of betrayal, solidified into a cold, hard resolve. I looked at Amanda, her eyes glinting with a predatory satisfaction, and then at Michael, his face a mask of discomfort and complicity. A switch flipped inside me that day. I was no longer the doting, vulnerable mother or the aging widow they thought they could easily manipulate. I was a survivor, a fighter. I spent decades advocating for my patients, ensuring they received the care and respect they deserved. Now it was time to advocate for myself. They wanted to discard me, to diminish me, to make me disappear for their financial gain. I would not only refuse, I would fight back with every fiber of my being. And I knew exactly where to start. They had underestimated me, grievously so. This wasn't just about money. It was about dignity, about justice, about reclaiming my life. I excused myself from the table, feigning a headache, needing a moment alone. Amanda smirked, probably thinking I was going to my room to cry. But I wasn't crying. My mind was racing, formulating a plan. The first step was to secure my documents. I had been foolish enough to keep my original power of attorney, loan agreement, and deed in a small fireproof box in my guest room closet, thinking it would be safe there. I slipped into the room, heart pounding, retrieved the box, and tucked it into my oversized handbag. My hands trembled slightly as I pulled out the power of attorney. Amanda had mentioned it, threateningly, but what she didn't know was that I had been proactive years ago, consulting an elder law attorney after a friend had a scare. My power of attorney had a crucial clause. It was conditional on my mental competency, as determined by 2 independent physicians. It was my safeguard against exactly this kind of malicious claim. This document, along with the notarized loan agreement proving my $15,000 contribution as a loan, not a gift, and the original deed clearly listing my name as a co-owner of the house Michael and Amanda now lived in, were my immediate armor. The very next day, under the guise of running errands, I went to my own home, collected more essential documents, and then, crucially, made 2 vital appointments. First, with my general practitioner. I explained the situation to Dr. Evans, detailing Amanda's accusations of forgetfulness and her attempt to use the power of attorney. Dr. Evans, who had been my doctor for over 20 years, listened patiently. After a thorough examination and a series of cognitive tests, she confirmed in writing my full mental competency. This document would become my shield against Amanda's insidious gaslighting campaign. My second appointment was with Detective Rodriguez at the Elder Abuse Division of the Sheriff's Department. Walking into that office, my stomach churning with a mix of fear and righteous anger, was one of the hardest things I'd ever done. But Detective Rodriguez was kind, attentive, and understanding. I laid out everything: the wedding reception humiliation, the morning confrontation, Amanda's threats, Michael's complicity, and her claims about my mental state. I showed him the conditional power of attorney, the loan agreement, the house deed, and Dr. Evans's report. He listened, his expression growing grimmer with each detail. He advised me to document everything, every conversation, every interaction, every perceived slight. I started a detailed journal, meticulously noting dates, times, and exact quotes, transforming my emotional distress into actionable evidence. I opened new bank accounts, transferring all my liquid assets, ensuring Amanda or Michael under her sway couldn't access them through any old joint accounts or forgotten permissions. I consulted a real estate lawyer, quietly, discreetly, to understand my rights regarding the house deed and how to protect my investment. My days became a careful dance of quiet preparation, gathering my forces, while outwardly maintaining a calm, almost oblivious demeanor when I had to interact with Michael and Amanda. As I prepared, their behavior escalated, exactly as Detective Rodriguez had warned it might. Amanda became bolder, her gaslighting more overt. She'd move my keys, then find them in an obvious place, making a show of my forgetfulness. She'd intercept my mail, claiming she was organizing it for me. Michael, unfortunately, seemed to be entirely under her spell, or perhaps just too weak to stand up to her. He'd parrot her lines, tell me I seemed tired or confused. He even suggested I let Amanda handle my bills, just to lighten the load. Every time he did, my heart would ache, but my resolve hardened further. I continued to live in their guest room, enduring their veiled insults and manipulative tactics, all the while knowing that soon, very soon, their house of cards would come crashing down. I even found an email Amanda had sent to Michael, accidentally left open on their shared computer. The subject line read, "Handling the Dorothy situation. The body detailed plans to convince me to sell my own home, move in with them permanently, and then, once they had my finances under control, push me into the assisted living facility, all before their mortgage refinance closed." It was sickening, damning evidence. I took screenshots, dated and time-stamped. The climax came swiftly, as it always does when truth finally confronts deceit. One evening, after weeks of this insidious psychological warfare, I walked into the kitchen where Amanda was preparing dinner. Michael wasn't home yet. I held my journal, Dr. Evans's report, and the screenshot of Amanda's email. "Amanda," I said, my voice steady, "we need to talk, truly talk." She turned, a condescending smile on her face. "Oh, Dorothy, still feeling a bit out of sorts? Are you sure you shouldn't just rest?" I ignored her. "I know what you're trying to do. I know about your plan to handle the Dorothy situation. I know about the assisted living facility, the attempt to pressure me into signing away my home, and your claims about my mental state." Her smile faltered, her eyes narrowed. "I don't know what you're talking about. You're imagining things." "Am I?" I asked, sliding the screenshot of the email across the counter. Her face went pale. This is doctored. You're losing it," she hissed, snatching the phone. "And this," I continued, placing Dr. Evans' report confirming my full mental competency next to it, "says otherwise. And I have a conditional power of attorney, which you conveniently forgot about, that makes your attempts to control my finances utterly baseless." She stared at the documents, her eyes wide with a desperate fury. You conniving old woman. I knew you were trouble. You'll regret this. I'll make sure you regret this." She lunged towards me, her face contorted in rage. "I know you've been sneaking Xanax from Sarah Martinez's prescriptions, the ones you were holding for her as a favor while she was out of town. I'll call the police. I'll tell them you're a drug addict, that you're unstable, unfit to live independently. I'll get legal guardianship, and you'll be locked away without a penny." The sheer venom in her words, the desperate, unhinged accusation, sealed her fate. I looked her dead in the eye, unflinching. "You won't have to call anyone, Amanda, because I've already called the sheriff's department. Detective Rodriguez is expecting me, and he already has all of this, including your email and your desperate threats." The look on her face was priceless. It was a mixture of shock, terror, and dawning realization. The facade completely crumbled. Michael walked in just as Amanda let out a strangled cry. "She's lying, Michael. Your mother's completely insane." He looked from her to me, then at the papers on the counter, utterly bewildered. I just walked past them, my head held high, and drove straight to the sheriff's department. The next day, after Detective Rodriguez had gathered more evidence and corroborated my story, an arrest warrant was issued. Amanda was taken into custody on 3 counts of elder financial abuse. The shockwaves reverberated through our small community and through Michael's world. He was in utter denial, refusing to believe his wife was capable of such malicious acts. He tried to bail her out, but the charges were too severe. The fallout was swift and devastating for Amanda. She pleaded guilty, facing overwhelming evidence, including the email, my detailed journal, the notary Mr. Patterson's testimony, who confirmed her attempts to coerce me and his discomfort, and even testimony from Dr. Evans about my mental state. She was sentenced to 18 months in state prison, followed by 3 years of probation, and ordered to pay full restitution for the funds I had to spend on legal fees and the time I lost from work volunteerism. Her perfect world, built on lies and manipulation, collapsed. Michael, initially angry and confused, finally began to see the truth. The real turning point for him came not from my words, but from an unexpected source, Amanda's own mother, Patricia Winters. A few weeks after Amanda's arrest, Patricia, an elegant woman I'd only met briefly at the wedding, came to my doorstep. She was heartbroken, ashamed. She handed me a cashier's check for the full amount of my legal fees and all associated costs, saying it was a small token of her remorse for her daughter's actions. Then, with tears in her eyes, she confessed. Amanda had a history, a long, dark history of financially exploiting previous partners, even an assisted living facility, where she once worked as an administrator, leaving a trail of ruined lives and empty bank accounts. Patricia had tried to intervene before, tried to get Amanda help, but her daughter was too cunning, too deeply entrenched in her deceit. Patricia's revelations were a final, brutal blow to Michael's denial. He finally understood the depths of Amanda's predation and his own complicity in allowing it to happen. He immediately filed for divorce. The days that followed were difficult. Michael, stripped of his illusions, was a broken man. He came to me, not with excuses, but with a raw, heartfelt apology. He admitted his weakness, his avoidance of confrontation, his blind trust in Amanda, and his profound regret for the pain he had caused me. He had lost his job due to the scandal, and the house they lived in, the one I had helped him buy, was a constant reminder of the betrayal. He decided to sell it. With the proceeds, he insisted on giving me half, acknowledging my co-ownership and my loan, even though I hadn't demanded it. It was his way of trying to make amends, to truly set things right. Today, my life has been reclaimed, and it is more peaceful, more authentic than I ever imagined. I bought a beautiful new apartment, smaller than my old house, but filled with light, and a sense of absolute independence. There's a lovely balcony where I can grow herbs and flowers, and it overlooks a quiet park. The peace I feel is profound, a deep sense of restoration. Justice was served not for vengeance, but for balance, for self-respect, for truth. Amanda is where she belongs, facing the consequences of her actions. Michael, with baby Emma, his daughter, now a vibrant, curious toddler, moved into a smaller house just a few miles from my new apartment. He's found a new job, one that he says feels honest and fulfilling. He's a wonderful father, dedicated and present. Emma, my granddaughter, brings such immense joy into my life. We have regular family dinners, movie nights, and park outings. Michael and I are slowly, carefully rebuilding our relationship, brick by brick, on a foundation of honesty and open communication. The past is not forgotten, but it no longer dictates our future. My journey was one of profound pain, but also of incredible resilience, a testament to the fact that even in our later years, we have the strength to stand up for ourselves, to demand respect, and to reclaim our lives. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.